Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of CarX Drift Racing 2 with Broguehammer Auto House. Today's episode is all focused on whether you should use an automatic transmission or a manual sequential with a clutch or any of that. So we're going to jump right into it here and do some analytics on a couple different runs I made with vehicles where I ran the sequential transmission, as you're seeing on the screen now with the Phoenix NX, and then I alternate switch to the automatic and see how they compare. I'm also going to talk about kind of why you should use certain things or why I prefer sequential manual to other transmissions. And hopefully you guys can get some more information out of this video and use it in your gameplay when you're playing. I've had a couple questions on this about what to use and why and how it's beneficial to maybe use a sequential over a automatic. So as you can see, I just switched to the automatic transmission for the Phoenix NX. My first run was great with the manual transmission, but now that we're switching to automatic, it switched me up to that 5th gear right away, which I was not a big fan of. And that's, I will say, the biggest thing about the automatic is you don't really know when it's going to change gears on you. Here I was hoping it would drop to 4th gear much sooner. I had too much wheel speed and ended up kind of losing the drift to too much angle. Then the automatic shifted down to 4th, and I was kind of hoping it would shift down to 3rd here because that's what I tend to do in the sequential, but it didn't. So we'll get into a little bit further breakdown here in just a second. I did actually score more points with the automatic than I did with the manual in that run, but we'll jump over to the burner JDM here and show you an automatic transmission run here as well. Got way out to the outsides on this with the burner JDM automatic. I apologize, my gearing and stuff isn't showing on this because it was a replay recording. After I made the run, I realized I wasn't recording the screen, so bear with me. But I actually liked how the automatic felt in the burner JDM on this particular track, except for this section here. I went a little too deep and had to completely come off throttle in order to not hit that light pole. It's just another one of those things where typically I can kind of restrict my speed and stuff with gearing, as you'll see here in the manual sequential. And for those of you that are asking how to switch it, you go to pause, settings, go to the controls tab, go down, automatic, manual, and then sequential is what you want, because manual means you have to hit the clutch and shift at the same time, and it's near impossible on a mobile phone. So I don't suggest trying that. I tried it, it was awful. So now I can pick my gears, and the biggest thing about picking your gears is, depending on the car, you kind of know where the power band's at and what RPM it's happy at. This car in particular, when I shifted to 5th gear, it holds like a solid 7,000 RPM and just drifts smooth as hell. And I really prefer that over when I had the automatic on. It was sticking in 4th, riding the limiter, then it would go to 5th randomly and in the middle of my drift, and it kind of messes up your line and how everything's going. So that's one of the main reasons to go sequential, is so you can obviously pick your gear, know the speed you can get out of that gear, and play accordingly to that. Here we have the Godzilla R3. We're going to run manual sequential first. You can see I flick it in right on the wall, stay right out there, hitting some limiter, dropping down a gear here into the corner to maintain wheel speed. I was able to fill pretty much all the zones with this, had a little straighten over the crest there. Flick it to the outside, 4th gear, and then I switch up to 5th gear as I gain more momentum and speed because I need that extra gearing so I'm not riding on the limiter the whole time. This was a great line with the manual sequential, and now we're going to back it up with a little interior shot for you just to get an idea of how it would look inside the car. A lot of people, I don't know if you play first person inside the car like this or not, but it's definitely more difficult than outside the car, but I do enjoy how it feels to drive inside. Now this is just a replay from the inside, so I didn't actually drive the track this way, but it's always a neat perspective to see kind of how close things look. And it's a big thing for proximity, especially when you're chasing people down in competitions or XDS tandems. It's really good to use the first person because you can really get up on their door a lot closer than you think. So now we switched to an automatic transmission, and I realized you can maintain the clutch here. So it shifted to 4th, and then right here, it switched to 5th gear already, which I would never do in a sequential transmission. And that's one of the disadvantages of the automatic, is you have no control over what gear it's going to go to. Here I really wanted it to shift down to 4th. It finally did. I had to kick the clutch in order to make that happen. And then my RPMs got back up because in 5th gear I was floating out too far, and I needed to kind of lower the gear, reset, and bring the car back to the inside of the corner. It then came into fourth, obviously over the hill here, and I believe in the middle of this transition it goes to fifth, which I would also never do because, you know, your momentum's swinging, and to shift and pop into another gear in the middle of all that, it's just a lot of things changing at the same time, and typically it would mess you up in the middle of a drift. Now that being said, you know, there are advantages to the automatic. Obviously, if you're, you know, not using the tilt steering, I use arrow steering. I had a big mess up there where I hit the wall. If you're using tilt steering, it's easier to do the manual because you obviously have another finger to, you know, upshift, downshift, hit the clutch and all that. With my steering, you know, with the arrows, I do set up the transmission so I can shift it just above my steering. I place the up and down arrows, and it really helps so that I can just switch my finger up, you know, upshift, and then go back to steering if I need to. I also have the clutch there on the left side for my left thumb to hit if I need to pop that, if basically if my wheel speed really suffers and I'm losing drift, I can pop the clutch or downshift to do that. You'll see here on the screen I've got the Hachi Roku. I was in the manual sequential. I'm just kind of messing around, showing you guys that I do, believe it or not, run into walls, crash the car. I don't always have perfect drifts, and I don't want to put out the impression that every time I play in this game it's just like a perfect line every time, because it's not. You know, it takes a lot of practice, a lot of time. A lot of you guys were asking too about the how the sequential works with a manual, and basically you can shift fully with the sequential without using the clutch at all. So you can change gears and they're quick, and they engage right away. But the biggest thing that I always suggest for using clutch is that you can, like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, when you are slowing down into a corner and say you had to handbrake hold for a little longer than you were expecting before you got back on throttle, sometimes your RPMs on your engine have dropped so far at that point that when you hit the throttle, the car just kind of bogs out and brr, 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 and doesn't really want to, you know, light up the wheels again. So a really good way to prevent that is when you're handbraking, you're slowing down into the corner, right before you're ready to release, hold the clutch, slam the gas, and then dump that clutch out, and it'll help take you right out of the corner. It's actually one of the better ways also to get backwards entries. I usually like flick it in like this, downshift, and then I would pop the clutch to get that kind of backwards momentum and shoot out of the corner, if that makes sense. Obviously, you guys can always leave, you know, comments and questions down below in the comment section. I'm happy to answer those. Also, if you guys like today's video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for future content. Otherwise, stay tuned. I'm going to have a busy week full of posting this week. I want to get some more videos out, some more tips, some more tricks, you know, more videos made out of suggestions by subscribers. So leave a subscription. Leave a comment below with your ideas. If you have any questions, you want me to show you a certain thing, give you a certain tune, play with certain cars, and I'm happy to do it. So anyways, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.